How you guys doing?
Detroit hat on, pretty good. I got my Reds hat on, man.
That's not a hat. That's a visor.
That's true. That's typical baseball guy. Perfect right off the bat. That's not a hat. That's right. It's definitely not a hat. It's not worn in like that one either. We were just talking about DJ Moore and how important of a commitment that is to Indiana, not only because of him being the talent that he brings, but coming from Fort Wayne, because that's an area that Indiana does not dominate at all within the state of Indiana. And so that is just a big feather for a lot of reasons in recruiting wise.
Oh, yeah. I think you could make an argument that, the in-state recruiting is really has a lot of momentum going right now. Not only DJ Moore, but you had Omar Cooper in the last, week or so. And the big fish out there, Caden Curry is still, still deciding, and that could take some time still. But it's I think recruiting momentum is something that you can't really define necessarily, other than looking at the commitments. But it's a hard thing to kind of wrap your arms around and understand. What's happening, but you can kind of sense it when it's happening, and I think it's a real thing for IU football right now. And not only in state, they're getting good players out of state as well. To me, the old litmus test is always what their other offers are, and if you can ever beat out other Big Ten teams that you usually kind of lose recruiting against if you're IU. If you're starting to beat those teams, I think that shows kind of where you're at. And getting DJ Moore and Omar Cooper here here recently, I think definitely shows that their Tom Allen's program definitely has some momentum going, some good things going in recruiting in the state of Indiana.
Well, I should note as well, real quick, before we move on here, that from basically DJ Moore is the continuation of a little bit of a trend here, because Fort Wayne, he's now the third lineman from Fort Wayne on the IU roster. Or he will be, assuming he signs next year. He's the second one from Snyder, which is a big football powerhouse in this area, obviously. Randy Holtz from Snyder is up there at IU right now, and so is Luke Wigginton from Bishop Dwenger. Both of them are going to be redshirt sophomores in the fall, and so with 4 years of eligibility remaining. So that's going to be kind of it's a group that can kind of grow up together from Fort Wayne. And if they end up having success, you think that might open up some kind of recruiting portal here and basically say IU is going to get you to where you want to go if you're from Fort Wayne, because we've seen it happen with these guys.
Caden Curry, you mentioned him, and he's pointed towards Ohio State is what everybody's thinking. But if Indiana was able to flip him, how monumental him going to Ohio State, he's just another player. If he were to come to Indiana, that would be monumental in so many ways, recruiting wise. It would almost, because we were talking about this a minute ago, it would have a part in altering Indiana's future recruiting, because once you get that first 5-star, which they have not gotten, more will follow. I've got a chart that shows once they got the first 4, how the more just followed right after that. But it would be monumental to get a kid like that, where he's just another recruit at Ohio State. I mean, not that he's average, but he's one of a lot of guys that are at his talent level.
Yeah, and the history has shown us, once kids get that Ohio State offer from at least from Central Indiana, I know from kids that I've covered, it's pretty hard to keep them in state, Purdue or Indiana. And they often have offered guys earlier than Ohio State. And, it hasn't, once that Ohio State offer comes, it's almost like you're a MAC school. And it's like, well, they forget about it now. It's off the table. But I've talked to Caden Curry, about IU, and this was even when he had Ohio State and Alabama and Clemson, and, it all offered him. Talk to him about IU, and just kind of, it was pretty much like, hey, is this a real option for you? Because I'd been hearing it had been, and he, you could just sense that it is. And talking to him, he said Tom Allen, he said he's my guy, and that's I think that says a lot, and Caden Curry has other Center Grove teammates who are on this, kind of like Dylan was saying about Fort Wayne. He has Center Grove teammates who are on the roster at IU. I think that means something. It's Center Grove on the south side of Indianapolis is closer to Bloomington, so it's an easy trip for his family. Now when it comes down to it, are you really going to turn down Ohio State? Are you really going to turn down? I think Alabama and Clemson are a little bit different. They're farther away. Even as great at programs as they are, Ohio State is sort of in your own backyard and Big Ten country, and we know what they do. Producing linemen and all kinds of players, really. So. Are you really going to be able to turn them down? I think that's where it's going to be tough, and even as great as job as Tom Allen has done, for Caden Curry, it's a little bit different. He has obviously the biggest of blue blood programs on the table. So yeah, it'd be significant, not only from a perspective of getting a great player, and he is a great player, having covered him for the last 3 years. I mean, he's one of the best I've ever seen at his position. But from a standpoint of perception, it would be absolutely huge. No matter what he does, on the field, and I'm sure he'll have a great career. The perception of that would be about as big as anything I can remember as far as in-state recruiting goes. So, that'll be, it'll be interesting. I'm not saying he's going to go there. I'm just saying at least during the conversation, I think it's actually a real conversation.